In that case, there's one thing we got to talk about, and it's the UK CMA saying no to the acquisition, which is
What the fuck?
interesting.
Not
Which
seen that.
acquisition, Greg?
The Microsoft Activision one.
There you go.
Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard King. The one that I was hoping today would be the last day we had to talk about it, but in reverse. And instead, it is not. It is because obviously they're gonna appeal it or whatever. But like, yeah, apparently cloud gaming is that was their big hangup. Is I think they said like Microsoft's like 60% market share for cloud gaming if you treat it as its own space in the United Kingdom, and so they're basically like, even with the agreements, which for those who don't know, obviously this has been going on a very long time. The CMA was like, here are our problems with it, blah, blah, blah. Microsoft's like, well, here's some things that we're going to do to help alleviate those concerns. Some of those being they entered into 10-year, like binding agreements with NVIDIA, who does GeForce Now, Boosteroid, and some other, people who operate cloud gaming streaming services, among other things, to guarantee to bring at least Activision Blizzard games to those, if not all Xbox games to those. And so apparently even with those 10-year agreements, the CMA was not satisfied. And they said, N-O. And so I'm sad because I'm going to have to buy Diablo 4 now. And like, I don't want to buy Diablo 4. I mean,
You're always going to buy Diablo 4. There's no way it was going to be free.
I mean, if it went through, it would have been on Game Pass, I'm pretty sure, right?
Eventually. I don't think on launch, though. There's just no reason, right? Like, it's built up so much hype. Like, it's going to make so much money on launch. Like, why all of a sudden do the rug pull and be like, we're actually not going to take your millions of dollars for our game?
I mean, why are they going to do that with Starfield, though? Right? Like, they do it because
It definitely would have
they
been
get
more.
the subscription.
Like, they will definitely add in. That is a surprisingly smart move. Because, I mean, they're exactly right. Like, those agreements don't do anything for their problem. And also, the problem is what I think Xbox and so many intelligent people in the industry have been saying forever, right? Like, they want to be the Netflix of cloud gaming, but they want to do it better and with more money, i.e., like, be better able to prevent competitors from coming into the space for longer, which they've clearly been successful at.
I was going to say, I saw someone online say that, they've pitched that for a while. They're like, oh yeah, we want to be the Netflix of gaming, right? With Game Pass. And someone was like, no. They want to be the, like, 10 years ago Comcast, fuck you, we're your only choice of gaming, right? Like, and I was like, okay, there's some truth there, right? Like, and yeah, I mean, 10-year agreements are better than nothing, but like, I mean, they're in it for the long haul, obviously, right? Like, that those 10 years come up and it's like, oh, sorry, all of these favorite things are now only available both on our platform, whether that be, physical hardware you own or, streaming it from our data centers, right? Like, they can wait 10 years to be the Comcast of gaming. No, I mean, no, it's totally valid. I mean, it's just kind of interesting because, like, as a whole, like, it's interesting, to think of cloud gaming as an entirely separate market as opposed to just like part of the overall video game market, right? Because if you think about it as part of the overall video game market, it's fucking pennies. Like, it doesn't matter at all, right? Like, it's just like, this is a silly thing to hold it up on in that case. But so it's like, okay, think about its own thing. That's fine. And then, yeah, it's still just like, it's so early on that it's like, the best time to prevent a monopoly from happening is before it's happened, right? Like, and so they're like totally right in that regard. But also it could just end up being that, again, 10 years later, it's like nobody is streaming games, or like, which I don't think is likely. I think obviously that market's going to keep growing. I don't think it'll grow faster than the overall games market, though, which is interesting. So, yeah. I'm going to have to buy Diablo 4. It's the moral of the story.
Are you still going to buy it? Are you both going to buy it on launch day, or are you going to wait a couple days?
It depends on
we'll
what else I'm doing around that time.
Very
if
true.
I'm busy with something else, I'll probably wait. But if I'm in like deprived of engagement mood, then I'll probably buy it immediately.
I get that a lot.
I'll
Like,
probably
I'm
wait,
so
though.
much more willing to pull the trigger when it's like, I don't really have any other games. Like, I'll just take a risk.
Yeah.
That's right on the money for me as well, right? Like, if I'm still like deep in Borderlands, or it'll have to be Borderlands, I think, because like so the new maybe WoW, but like probably not because so the new WoW
Surely not.
expand or patch drops in a week, and then the raid unlocks a week after that, which is still I think a month before Diablo 4 releases, if my dates are correct, and they might not be, but I think it's a month before the Diablo 4 releases, and so like more than likely at that point, a month from the raid dropping, I will be back into the I only get on for raid night and nothing else. So like I don't think WoW will be stealing my attention at that point. I think it would have to be probably like Borderlands 3. And yeah, if I'm not like super engaged in that, I'm probably gonna end up buying it day one and taking the day off work and no lifing the ever living shit out of it. So because it's always actually I won't because the servers are gonna be shit on launch day. They're gonna be so
That
bad.
is why I am gonna I will no matter what wait at least 2 days because I'm really curious how the launch goes. Like I have zero faith in it will be good at some point, but I have no faith that it will be good in the first week.
So they're doing another open beta, and they actually explicitly titled this one, I don't know, fuck our servers. Yeah, okay. I knew it wasn't fuck our servers, but like
Wait, what's it called?
Server Slam.
Yeah.
It's
so
mid-May is when they're doing it.
So yeah, hopefully that will hopefully be a good sign of how how good the actual launch will be. Is if that's stable, then I'd have faith that the actual launch would be stable. But if that's not, then like, oh fuck no, they're probably not fixing those problems in time. What's interesting is I know that like, obviously like so much goes into the launch of a game like this. And like they are probably I can't remember who their cloud provider is. I'm pretty sure their cloud provider is Google, I think, actually. Which disclosure, I do work for Google, but I don't have any inside information. I'm literally just going off of like public stuff, which is why I'm not sure. I think their cloud provider is Google. And like I suspect they're probably like in the process of like, pre-requisitioning like a bunch of, like basically like I'm pretty sure they've told them it's like, hey, we're going to launch this game on this day. And so like, we're going to need literally, gobbles and gobbles of machines available, to run this game on this day. And like, they're probably obviously already planning for that, like making sure that like they have that like pre-allocated and stuff like that, which is, I don't know, that'd be fun. I would enjoy that, I think. Well, that's because it's basically kind of my job anyways, but not in video games. And so if I could just do that, but for video games and like, be responsible for like making sure that there's enough VMs and things are going to work right, I think would be super fun. Okay, I turned on my light. It was dark in here.
It's still dark on our screen. Because you have an entirely black background. Yeah,
Anyways, go ahead, Peg.
I was just going to keep railing on launch day. I have no faith in any company to have like a successful launch week anymore.
I know. It's
you don't really have
to. The state of the industry is kind of shitty about that now.
Yeah. Everybody's just so used to it, and they don't care. They just want the game as fast as possible, and the process is only getting slower. So they're just increasingly willing for it to be less and less polished when they first get it.
I know.
Well, I kind of feel like so people have very mixed feelings about this. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think about this. So I think Diablo 4 is doing the thing that many other games have done at this point, where if you buy the $100 edition or whatever, you get to play it. 4 days early? I think it probably comes out technically on a Monday, and like if you do it 4 days, if you buy the $100 one, you get to play it on like Thursday or Friday. I think is normally how it works out. And I wonder if doing that, I mean, they're just doing that to upsell the $100 edition, right? Like 100%.
Oh, for sure.
That's what they're just like, give us money, please, right? But like, I bet it does actually have the coincidental side effect of spreading out the load. And like potentially making, launch more stable.
It 100% does. They're also like just another wave of like early people who are going to help you see issues and iron them out.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I am 100% because we talked about it before, but like in very short, even as big as the gaming industry is, it is by and large underfunded for the amount of money that goes into making these games. So however they want to squeeze a little bit, like that's such a minimal thing to get in exchange for, more like 40% of, what is it? Almost double the price of what the game is base. Like, that's fine. You can have that in the sticker book. I don't give a shit.
I was opening up the BattleNet launcher right now to go like look at what the actual additions are and like what the actual dates were, like if it was actually like 4 days or whatever, Thursday to Monday basically. And I just like saw Diablo Immortal there. It's like maybe I'll just play Diablo Immortal on launch day.
You're a madman. Hey,
I'm not.
those
I know.
servers
I'm
will
not going
not
to.
be busy. You will
I
be able to
know.
play.
So it is 4 days early. I can't see the actual dates yet, but anyways, yeah. I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, they did it on 6/6 because they're funny boys. So 6/6, June 6th is a Tuesday. So yeah, 4 days early is the Friday, right? Like it's Friday, June 2nd. So yeah, exactly what I thought. Which man, it's gonna be so good. I'm very excited for this game. And yeah, still just very disappointed I'm gonna have to pay for it. What else? Also, what I'm very disappointed if I will have to pay for it in the future is I texted you this packet. Like I would like. There's a lot of things in. I feel like with this ABK acquisition, a lot of focus has been spent on Call of Duty, obviously as part of Activision, and then from Blizzard, obviously there's like Diablo and Overwatch and WoW and stuff like that, right? And then like a little bit of like, oh hey, but really they want King because King just prints money, and then obviously there's the whole like CMA is actually concerned about cloud gaming. Anyways, what I actually also think would be great, and so I'm kind of sad if it doesn't happen, then I will be sad about, is like some of the like older properties that like haven't, like Spyro and Crash, for example, right? Like it would be great to like uh get the Spyro Reignited trilogy and the Crash Insane. I don't remember the name of it, but like the all-in-one Crash thingy, as well as like Crash 4 on Game Pass. Like those would have been great. And then also for me specifically, like I would love it if Warcraft 3 Reforged was on there, because as we talked about in our like user generated content episode, loved me some custom games in Warcraft 3. But I was like very upset that Reforged replaced the original one, so like you can't even really play the original one anymore. You have to buy Reforged, and like I don't really want to give them $30 for that when all reviews say it's kind of a mediocre job of it altogether.
Damn, and I just looked it up. It never goes on sale either.
Yeah, like it's like that's the thing is like, because I think they they just had the spring sale, and I don't think it was there. And like if it was, I don't know, like put it on sale for like $5 or something, I'd give them $5 for Warcraft 3 Reforged. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like it should, or at least 20. Like it's 30 normally. I'm looking at it since it came out. It has been a very consistent $30. It has never dipped below that.
Actually, I would do 15. I would do a month of WoW. I would do a month of WoW for I would
Play it
go
3 times.
buy a WoW token with all my gold, and then buy Warcraft 3 Reforged is what I would do.
I would love to see the player numbers for Warcraft 3 Reforged.
It's got to be low. I understand why things don't do that, but like I wish all these networks and things did that, right? Like I love Steam charts. Like I love the fact that Steam shows you like active players and like peak and like, trends. And I really wish, PlayStation did that and Xbox did that and, Battle.net and Epic Games did that. Like I love that information from Steam, and I wish other people would do that. Although like I kind of get why they don't, because I feel like it's a really easy way to create a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, oh, this game only has 1,000 people playing, it must be dead, so I'm not going to play it. And then that type thing.
Like your average gamer is going to go look it up and like let that, at least people don't do that with Steam, right? People play it and buy little shitty games with 50 people who play them all the time.
Reddit does. Reddit has a boner for Steam
but I think
charts,
it's that it'll
and they're like, this is a
drive
dead
like
game.
online discussion like every time. I think it'll like it'll change narratives very, very quickly. I think it's semi-important for like investors, because I think games all the time just can very blatantly misrepresent their player numbers in a way, and like it used to not matter. And for small games and like Steam games and shit like that, it really doesn't matter all that much. They're not asking for a lot of independent funding. Like companies like Riot and Blizzard and shit like that, being able to misrepresent their player numbers, except when audited, is pretty sketchy with the millions and millions of dollars they play with.
That's true. And I was going to say, obviously, like when it comes down to it, like, if it comes down to it, the number will have to come out for one reason or another, right? But yeah, no, like
Yeah.
it's very common in exactly what you were talking about, like with investors, right? Like even quarterly reports, for example, they do everything possible to mask the numbers by like lumping it in with other stuff or like giving some other representation of it as opposed to just like we have X million people playing our game monthly, right? Like, they never come out and say
Or like
that. You're
for each
right.
month, they really love to give like pretty big ranges. It's like we range from here to here over this like 3 to 6 month time period. It's like cool. We have no real gauge for how many people actually were playing. Like, because if you're showing your peak and your lowest point, you can just draw so many conclusions. But I don't know. I also will say, all that being said, I really just want Riot to publish their player numbers consistently, so when it goes down, I can shit talk people about it. That's
I
all I
mean,
want it
League
for.
sucks. I would hope it goes down, but I don't think it does. I think their player numbers are still going up. I don't understand.
Oh no,
I
they've gone
truly
down.
don't. But like, no, they're dude. I'm pretty sure they're still going
Oh,
up.
let me look it up.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure there's still
it's
multiple millions.
gross. It's gross. Like, I have encountered people in real life that started playing League of Legends within the past year, and like,
Oh, what the fuck?
I mean, to be fair, I cannot believe I'm going to say this.
Average 170 million users a month. There's no way.
Oh,
152 million,
mama.
That's a
125
lot.
million. That's so many.
Man.
That's so many. Yeah.
There's so many
Well,
better games. Dude, I looked at this is disgusting. Sorry, go ahead, make your point.
Here's what I was going to say though. What is a better MOBA that is actually developed?
Not one that I like, but you can always say Dota 2 or just Dota 2.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I actually think Dota 2 is worse than League. Like, I cannot believe I'm saying that, but like, at least when I played it, and to be fair, it's been a long time since I played it, but like, they're just vastly different games, or at least again, they were at the time. Both in terms of like casualness and like time commitment. Like, Dota games used to regularly take over an hour a game. That ain't fucking ain't nobody got time for that. Like, fuck that shit. And like League, at least they end within like 30 minutes normally, right? Like, and so I honest to God, like, I think League is a trash game, but also like, if someone were to say, what's the best MOBA out there that has a development team of more than 5 engineers on it, I think League of Legends is the answer, which is really sad.
Oh, it's so sad. I think what's really impressive me about League is like everybody knows the people with League where like it's retained players at such a crazy rate. Everybody knows someone who's been playing League for fucking years and years. At least if you're like in the gaming space, like everybody knows those people who like have been playing League of Legends forever and all they play is League, and they play it very, very actively that whole time. Like it's insanity. And yeah, they still are bringing people in. They've learned to make hot anime characters as their champions, and people will like them and come and play them.
And they got a banging OST. Like, they have
Arcane is good.
really dank music. Like, that's true. Arcane. I bet Arcane brought so many people to League. Like, I bet that show. Yeah, like straight up.
God, there's so many funny memes about it, but there's the one. It was like, imagine watching the emotional climax with Jinx and all that, and then going into lane with your Jinx and some like easy to play champion farms. You go 0-10 while someone's telling you to kill yourself in all chat. It's just such a fucking hard pivot from this amazing show to this absolutely day-ruining experience of a game.
God damn. I wish. So I wonder if League would be as awful as it is for me personally at this point if Steven had never played on my account. And
I think about
ultimately,
that too.
Like, is it just... I want to know how long their MMR lasts, right? Like, I feel like if I was making a game and an account hadn't been touched or hadn't played a game in 6 months, I would start steadily dropping the MMR of the account.
No.
Right?
League of Legends has made this. They've reset. Not only do they reset your MMR each season, like our accounts would have been reset many, many times over because they reset it each season. Like,
but do they reset your rank or do they reset your MMR? And are those different or are those the same thing?
They are different. I think they reset both, but they reset both periodically, but they reset your MMR with frequency.
Well, because I know that they definitely reset your rank, right? Like every time
Yeah.
there's a new whatever thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, maybe I just suck then, and maybe I just shouldn't play with them. That's also the other thing is I just shouldn't play with those people. I should
It is
just
100% the people you're playing with. You're playing with people who, in any given season, have like hundreds of hours of playtime. Like it's going to be an unpleasant experience.
Plus, it's a terrible game, and it's just bad. It's just a badly made game.
I still maintain the opinion. I will shit on it ruthlessly. I do not understand how they played it as much as they have. I think it is, in a very basic sense, a well-made game. It is just simply not fun. I've played so much of it and I've had so little fun, and most of my fun has been like it is a some zero version of fun where I am just like making someone else's day worse and my day is getting better. You're bullying a player in the game, or you're like making fun of people in all chat. That is the moments that I think of that I really enjoyed in League of Legends. It is never like, oh my god, that series of abilities was really cool.
I would agree that at least with the second part of that, but I also would not agree that it's a well-made game. I actually don't think it's a well-made game. Like if I just and maybe it's gotten better, but do you remember like even just their launcher, like when we were in high school, was like Adobe Flash or Adobe Air or some
Yeah.
shit.
They definitely fixed some
Like
stuff.
I'm not convinced that like that's the you know pristine example of quality, of code over there, right? Like,
No.
and maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's gotten better, but in my experience, spaghetti tends to get more spaghetti-ier, not less spaghetti-ier. And so,
Well, they've definitely done some big reworks. They've still had notable like insane issues. At least I've seen a couple where like in esports setting, like people couldn't properly buy or sell items. And then
that's impressive in an esports thing too.
I know the launcher and then their like grouping has had issues for a long time, but I think it's better now. I don't know. I think they've done well. At least I based it a lot off of playing like what 3 years ago now. For a brief period of time where I was like convinced I was going to get back into it, and then
It
ultimately
wasn't
had
even 3 years ago. It
fun.
was like a year and a half ago.
No, it was way longer than that. I was still in the Kentucky Avenue house when I tried this,
Oh,
which for me
damn.
is two
Maybe there
houses
was
ago.
another time where you just told yourself again that you were going to do it and you played a single game. And then I told myself I would do it too.
No, you
Then I
tried to
played
sucker
like
me into
15
playing.
games.
Since that time, like, I don't even pretend like I occasionally will make the joke to them that it is like time for my yearly game, but privately, I've more or less sworn off of playing ever again. Because it was like, I really want, it's the first time in such a long time where I was like, all right, I'm going to try and get into this game. It'll be a good time. I'm going to watch some videos. I'm going to like focus on the games and we'll see like play some on my own, see what happens. Fucking miserable.
You're right though. It's just not fun. Like it's just straight up not fun. Like I don't.
Just zero dopamine
The
in the
crazy
brain.
thing is, you listen to our friends play it, and I don't think they're having fun either. I don't understand it. Like I do not like. They maybe have fun 1 out of every like 5 games, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like if I go play Heroes, I go have fun like 4 out of every 5 games. Like that's a fun game.
It's fun to try in that game. The only time they have, at least I can tell when people have fun in League, is when they're just like fucking around. They're not trying to win. Like I think you can genuinely. That's the mark of a good game, right? Like you try hard at it to win and enjoy it, enjoy the experience. Like that, it's not a miserable slog. But I have that complaint about like all MMOs. I think Heroes is the one that solved it. Like I think laning in all MOBAs, when you have to really focus on what the creeps are doing, is miserable, and it just completely detracts from the game.
Yeah, I mean the forced objectives to like make you do like to break up the monotony of laning phase in Heroes, I think helps a ton. That and combined with like there's no such thing as I need to stay in my lane to farm gold to get an item. And so like I'm not gonna play the game for 20 minutes, guys. I'll see you in 20 minutes.
You don't have
right?
to
Like
focus
that
on
doesn't
like
exist.
min-max the gold getting from the actual minions themselves. Like you don't have to really allocate all that much focus. You can spend so much more focus on what's going on on the map and what's going on with other players. And it just really shows. I think many games.
I feel like
Pokemon Unite is that way too.
I was gonna say actually, I feel like Pokemon Unite. If someone were to ask me what mobile I should play right now, I'd probably tell them Pokemon Unite.
That makes me so sad.
Actually, I know, right? Maybe because like I feel like this is a space that. To be fair, that's basically right as well, right? Like they're an
Also,
American company,
that's
but
super
like,
true.
are they really an American company? Like, not really. I mean, I think they're based in California, but again, like, I'm pretty sure they're like majority owned by Tencent. Which I'm gonna look this up before I spew any more bullshit and rise.
It's also, I just like to make
Um,
fun of Pokemon Unite's presentation because it's the mobiliest game like that I've played in a minute. It's so mobile game. Feels like it's begging for my credit card information.
oh no, I was basically correct in my statement. Apparently, Tencent used to only own part of Riot Games,
Oh
and
yeah.
then they now own 100% of Riot Games.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's which is, and that makes sense why they have the mobile league that is basically the same thing as all the other Tencent mobile league games, because yeah, they're that. Which, like, there's so many. It feels like somebody should be able to have a MOBA that competes with League of Legends. That competes with League of Legends and Dota 2. That like is successful.
They
And it's
do.
sad that this
You know, the
doesn't
biggest one
exist.
in the world is not
Well,
any of the ones that we've talked about. It's not Wild Rift either. It's some. Let me look it up. It's some random mobile game, but it's
I mean,
not owned by
I was to say,
Tencent.
is it the one on the phone? And it's the one that's made
Yeah.
by Tencent, and it's the one that Wild Rift is literally that, but with League of Legends characters,
I
like
don't. Is
exact
it owned
same
by
game,
Tencent?
but like League of Legends characters instead.
I heard its name once. It's not MOBA. It's not Wild.
There was actually I
Maybe
saw
it
a
is Wild
clip
Rift.
of a MOBA recently that was interesting. It was we've kind of talked a little bit about this in the past, but I'm trying to remember the name of the game. Um, someone is building a MOBA on, I think, on like GameStop's NFT blockchain. So like, I guess the idea is if you like unlock a character there, you could sell it to someone else. And then same thing for a skin, right? Like if you unlock a skin in the game, you could sell the skin to someone else theoretically, I think. And the gameplay actually looked like kind of decent. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so it'll be interesting to see if that actually goes anywhere. Um, what is the name of this game called? I type in NFT MOBA and League of Ancients comes up, but I don't think it was this. I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
I'm sure there are multiple.
Yeah,
That'd
it
be
turns out there
so
are
weird.
multiple.
Can't imagine how you would have NFTs work in that system. Unless they were just a bunch that were the same. They weren't unique. I don't know.
I think it's called Evermoon, and apparently it wasn't GameStop. But yeah, I don't know. If anyone's interested, Evermoon is the name of the game. Looks kind
Please
of
don't buy
interesting.
NFTs.
But yeah, please don't. Please don't. They murder our environment for no reason. Everything you can do with an NFT, you can do with a traditional database, and then some. Anyways, we've talked about a bunch of random things, and James has been mostly quiet. James, is there anything that's been on your mind today or this week that you want to talk about?
No. You're always talking about MOBAs, and I have almost zero like experience with MOBAs. There's a lot of game genres that I'm not a fan of that I have some experience with, but MOBAs is one of the few that I can say I have almost zero.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I just
Sounds like we should all go play Heroes of the Storm, and we should introduce James to a good one.
Man, that'd be such a miserable experience to be introduced with the two of us.
I just don't love competitive things. Like, I was talking to our friend William earlier, and we were talking about Age of Empires 2, and William's always been more in the competitive angle of, like, strategy games, and I think, like, focusing on build orders and timing and all that stuff, and strategy games are like any kind of game, just, to me personally, I'm not saying it's wrong, but to me personally, it sucks so much enjoyment out of it. So
one fucking hundo.
I think especially that, right? Like, where it's, oh, hey, let's find out what we have researched to be the optimal way to play this game and what is the exact meta. Like,
it's like, at that point, why are there other options? You're just basically doing a step-by-step guide, and I don't know, I just think it takes away a lot of, like, what games can offer. Now, if, like, a game is obviously meant to be that from the get-go, like, that's different. And, like, I've played Counter-Strike and, like, Rainbow Six Siege and stuff, not, like, competitively, but, like, you know, doing, like, the ranked or whatever, and, like, that's different, because in that mindset, you're already there for it. But I think if you're playing a game where that's not the mindset going in, and the other person is doing it with that mindset, I'm like, oh, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, nothing against you personally, but I do not want to do this.
No, I 100% agree. And like, going back to Heroes, that was why Packy, I would say, if I had to guess, 98% of our games played would have been in quick match. Like,
Oh yeah,
100%.
it's more than
Like,
98. It's got to be more because we probably
well,
played less
there's
than 100 ranked.
ARAM and there's brawls and stuff like that, right?
Oh,
But
okay,
like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure 98% of our time would have been in quick match,
That was just like as opposed to ranked. Like we probably played less than 100 ranked games total.
which the reason, one of the many reasons why we like that, James, is one of the things Heroes did that I thought was really nice was they you pick who you want to play in advance.
Mhm.
Right, like you pick. I'm playing this character, and you join the queue, and then you get put in a game, and that was quick match, and it was fucking great because you could play whoever you wanted, whenever you wanted, all the time. There's
Yeah.
no like bullshit like picking a thing and so like you'd end up with like stupid fucking games, or it'd be like 2 healers on each team or something, and like it'd just be
God, there were some bad
completely
ones.
imbalanced or whatever, and it'd just be like unbelievably ridiculous, and that was why it's fun.
It's
right?
always
Like,
the same because in
fuck-
all
fuck
games like
ranked.
this, it's just like, all right, who's the big damage dealers? All right, we got a full team of those. Nobody with
Yeah, you
utility.
have-
Nobody with healing. Nobody with
no
tanking.
tanks, no CCs, and it's just like, okay, well, as soon as they hit us with a stun, we're all dead, guys. Like,
All right, where's the one guy out of all these damage dealers who has a really good ability against other damage dealers? Oh, GG's, Alarak is home.
yeah. So I totally get what you're saying though, James. I mean, that was like, in our friend group, it was, for me, it was Smash, right? Like they made Smash not fun.
Man, did we squeeze the fun out of a really fun game.
That's me going from my childhood with that or that franchise specifically, where it was like me and my 3 brothers, and we would all do like max items on and just have the most clusterfuck. And to me, that's
Fucking
fun.
Pokeballs,
It's just funny
fucking
seeing
baseball
what chaos
bats.
can happen, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
story generator basically. And then getting older and trying to play with, my friend Jacob or William or like people in college and stuff, and it's just like, holy shit. Like, I do not want to play this the way other people are playing it.
Who
Like,
ruined
get
it,
it,
Packy?
but I don't want
Who
to.
was the root? Who was the one, Packy? Who fucking ruined it? Like, who started
What?
it?
Of
Who-
Smash?
Yeah, in our friend group.
We?
Like, who
Dude,
ruined
it was ruined as far as like, because I always like to like imagine the image of, we joke about it a lot in college, where someone would come in, they're like, oh, you guys are playing Smash, I can't wait to play Congo Jungle with Pokeballs, it's gonna be so fun. No. Final destination, no items. If you don't pay an
Always.
S tier, you are trash.
Always. Oh my god.
We have been playing.
Because, like,
It's always Final Destination, because Final Destination is like the sweat stage, because there's just nothing going on. It is just a flat,
know.
long stage.
I hate it.
Incredibly boring
I was gonna
stage.
say, at least they added Omega stages in the most recent one that I can't remember
I was
the
gonna
name
say,
of
at
the
least
game.
in the old ones, they have a fun background graphic to play on this incredibly dull stage, because that's all Final Destination had for the longest time. It's just a cool background graphic in all the different games. We've been playing that way since it was probably Steven. Because when we played at his house, we never, ever, from the beginning, played any stage that was not Final Destination. Always played Final. We very rarely played with items. It was usually like you'd have goofy
so it's
characters.
Steven's fault. I'm gonna go fly to
We
Seattle.
all
and I'm gonna
drove
kill him.
it. I think
It's his fault.
getting Omega
like,
Sweater
I
was definitely
imagine-
driven by Sam.
I assumed it was everyone was like me and James, where it's like you play it with your siblings and you just play silly and you have a great time and it's Smash Bros and it's awesome and you play Kirby and you do the whatcha and then the fucking block and then you suck them up with Kirby and it's great and you have a great time. And then I assumed it was literally just one person who's like, but hey guys, what if we didn't play like that? And then it just spread like a virus from the one person, right? Because I imagine. I mean, what about you, Packy? Did you play Smash as the kid? And if so, did you play it the proper way or the stupid awful way?
No, I played it the super awful way. My siblings were they've tried it a couple times, because we all did the same shit as everybody else, and then they just know I kept playing. So they're like, oh, you're pretty good. And like occasionally we'll play when I have it on the laptop or the Switch, and it's like, oh no, this is different now. Like, they cannot touch me anymore. I do play both ways. Like, I say all that, but like in college, when I didn't play with our friends and with a very specific group of people in college, like I always just would play like goofy characters. We play with items. Like it's a fun time if you just play like a party game instead of playing
Exactly.
It's to me, it's
supposed
like
to be a party
Super
game.
Sweat.
Yeah, like
It is
what
supposed to be a
it's
party game.
supposed to be.
Why do
like,
they have all the items and the goofy stages and characters if you're not supposed to do that stuff?
They were so mad people played it sweaty tryhard mode. They added tripping into Brawl. Like tripping was a direct look at
I
the
forgot
competitive
about
community
that.
and was like, do not play this way. It should not be this kind of game. It's a goofy party game. Stop it. And then people just got really mad and continued to play the old ones.
Oh my god.
Even though Brawl's great, like it gets shit on all the time, specifically because of tripping and because people don't understand how Meta Knight works. But it was such a fun party game. Again, if you just played it like a party game, but people don't do that. I like it both ways. I think there's a not insignificant number of people who like it both ways, but the people who refuse to play it any other way ruin it for everybody else.
The only
For sure.
only thing I like about playing with super sweaty people is that I'm not that kind of person, so I'll still play like bullshit Kirby or Meta Knight
and
or
then
whatever.
they'll get mad at you.
And then they get mad, and I'm like, this is really funny because I'm
You
literally
get your big stock.
I'm just doing Kirby with the block down, where he just can smash people by turning into a heavy object, and all of your dozens and hundreds of hours of skills are not countering me, and I don't even care that you're mad because this is really funny. This is the only way I've been competitive this whole match, by doing the dumbest thing, and I do not care. And then I get the opposite, where my girlfriend likes the idea of games, but like does not play them ever. I'm in the process of trying to get her into them, but it's hard to get somebody who has no experience at all, like didn't even play them as a kid or anything, into it, just because like they don't even have like the muscle memory to use a controller or anything.
Oh yeah.
It's tough,
You take it for granted, right?
Yeah,
like, you
exactly.
definitely take it for
She's
granted.
like,
It's
how do you
really
even know what's
hard.
happening on the screen? And I'm like, I don't know, not that much is happening. Like, I don't know what to say. But she'll play Mortal Kombat with me, and like, I'm not good at Mortal Kombat. I've just played a lot of it over, my 29 years because it's a staple, right? And it's also pretty simple if you want it to be pretty simple, right? It's a 2D, like, same plane fighting game. And we'll play Mortal Kombat, and she'll just play like one character and do like the classic like little kid thing or like sibling thing where they only do one move the entire time because it's the move they've noticed works, which is what I do in like competitive matches with like my friends. And then I have to figure out how to deal with that, being somebody who's not competitive back to her. It's really funny. She likes to play the Joker in the newest Mortal Kombat because he has a move where he like kicks a nitrous oxide canister across the map.
Oh, so the same move from Injustice. So they literally just
Yes.
straight one-to-one
Yeah,
copy of the
it's,
character. I see. Okay, fair enough.
She has that. She does
Yes,
like
it is.
she
It
knows
is.
the
Yeah, it's
combo
another
for
realm.
that, and then she knows the combo for like a spinning hammer move, and she does those continuously the entire time.
My favorite on Joker was there's a thing where he just slams the crowbar into the ground like
Yep,
5
she does
times
that
over
one
and
too.
over again.
That's right. She
Yep,
does do
it's
that
fucking
one too.
classic. It's just like da da da. You just do it again. Da da da. It's great. Like it's so good. That's the way to play, baby. Yeah. I don't. Susie sometimes does that in fighting games, but other times she literally just full blown like pinnacle button mashing, paying zero attention to what's being pressed, zero attention to the stick, just hitting things as fast as possible. And and then it works, and then you're like, God damn it, why is this working? This is so frustrating that it's working.
That's why I think the old arcade games are fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've played Marvel vs. Capcom with my friend Jacob, and Jacob is like super into the competitive side of like fighting games, like especially like Mortal Kombat, and like I guess like Street Fighter and stuff. But we played Marvel vs. Capcom one time, and that was the least technical fighting game I think I've ever played, where it literally, you were so rewarded for just blindly pressing buttons, and he was trying to play it like on a technical level because that's what he's used to, and I destroyed him because he didn't know what to do.
I was at an arcade bar, and they had like a bunch of the old, all these different arcade machines, but especially a bunch of the different 2D fighters. And we're kind of working our way through them. And the first couple, I was like, all right, well, I'll like try to play and like play like a fighting game and like think about what I was doing. And I was just watching other people mash buttons. I was like, I can probably mash buttons and know a little bit better of what buttons to mash, and I'll be fine. And lo and behold, I went from losing most of them to winning like almost every single one.
That's the thing. You mash buttons, and you're like, okay, while mashing, I realize this one thing does this other thing, and then you slowly incorporate like.
No.
Okay, I'm mashing, but now I want to do that one thing, and I know how to do that type thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think it's that.
That's how I learn combos. You don't read the combo list. You just press buttons until you figure it out naturally.
You find the rhythm.
And then you maybe check the combo list just to double check your work. But it's got to be organic.
No, for sure.
Which is probably why I'm not good at fighting.
Oh, I'm fucking terrible myself. Like I'm atrocious, and I love them. Like I love them.
Injustice,
I
all of the NetherRealm
oh, it's
stuff,
so good.
fantastic.
Is there going to be an Injustice 3? Like, come
I
on,
don't
give
know,
me an Injustice
maybe.
3. That'd be so good. There is. I'm also hoping there's probably going to be a Soul Calibur 7 at some point. Actually, is that already
There
announced?
will be, if it hasn't been, it will assuredly happen.
Yeah, that series is never ending.
It's more Injustice's only reason to not continue wouldn't be popularity, but more where do they have to go from here?
Yeah, true.
The internet's belief is Soul Calibur 7 will come out 1 year after Tekken 8 because
Okay.
doing them in the same year
Yeah, that
would
would
be
make
dumb.
sense. Yeah,
Which
because
is
they
fair.
fight for the same players.
We'll see.
Tekken 8 was one of the ones. I think it's Tekken and Street Fighter that have new games coming out, and they both look insanely.
They do. They
Fighting games have
crazy.
always looked really
Both of
good. Them and racing games, right? But yeah.
Yeah, true.
They've been on another level recently.
I'm ready for more Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat will also be crazy.
Mortal Kombat. When so when we raid, they have the Discord bot like a lot of channels do. That'll play music or whatever. And I gotta say, nothing hypes you up for a fucking boss better than the Mortal Kombat song, right? Like, oh my god, like someone plays that, and like at the start of the play, you're just like, I can hit my button so fucking fast. Mortal Kombat. And just like, oh my god, dude, my DPS has never been exactly the same as it was before than with that song.
Do you ever start when you're playing games on your own? Do you ever like independently start music before like boss attempts or stuff like that? It's just
I
because
don't think I've done that explicitly, but I should.
I do roguelikes enough where like I'll usually time a song or like especially the hype songs, right? To like start as I'm about to start an attempt, so it'll go all the way through. Um, that just made me think of not like super recently, but I like I had a series where I would start up a song and then I'd die in 10 seconds and I'd restart. I'd be like, oh, bad attempt. Restart it, start the song again, die again, instantly restart the song, and then eventually I was like, fuck it, and I just stopped playing the music.
Did you get it when you stopped playing the music that time?
Not that session. I did get it eventually,
Nah.
but not that session.
Nah, I don't think I've explicitly gone out of my way to start a song before a boss attempt, but like I have been, and I think we've touched on this a little bit, but it's gotten even more so since then. If we have, like, I have been more and more appreciating like good soundtracks in games. Like,
Yeah.
I told you this the other day, like playing Borderlands 3, like I love the soundtrack in Borderlands 3. Like, just like randomly, whether it be sometimes a boss fight, but sometimes it's even just like going to a new area, right? And then just like, I don't know, some like banger comes on, and I'm like, and it's not like some like heavy metal or like dubstep banger. It's some like, I don't know, just some really catchy, fun song to listen to while you're blowing people up with ridiculous guns. Like, it's great. I love it. Whoever did the soundtrack for Borderlands 3 did such a fantastic job. Like, and so, yeah, I don't know. I've been paying more and more attention to that recently.
We are spoiled with good scores in all major games. I still think of how like it didn't get that much attention for it, but like Guardians of the Galaxy game, the soundtrack is
That's
fucking
cheating.
absurd.
That's just cheating. Like that's.
I can't imagine how much they spent for that.
There was probably a stupid amount of money. Yeah.
Like every single one of them were like all-time decade hits that you hear on the radio a lot.
Also,
like,
you know what's sad about that actually? That means that game's probably not going to be on stores in like 4 years because like it's
1000%.
at
Yeah.
least
The licenses will run out.
like it happens a lot with Forza Horizon. Like I think 1, 2, and 3
GTA.
are like maybe you can't purchase them anymore. GTA has the same problem where like they go off storefronts because the
It
license agreement for the
has
music.
had licensing issues, I know, with 3 before with music where the contracts ran out. I can't remember if they like stopped selling it or if they just renewed it.
Yeah, man, that would be sad because I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is a really great game, right? Like it's just I've said it before. I love nice linear games, and
Yeah.
that is a really great linear game that has a fantastic soundtrack for that you huddle, and then some dank ass song from the 60s comes on or whatever, and it's like hell yeah. Actually, was it 60s or 70s? I don't know, but
70s. I am really hopeful that it was awesome, but I also hope that it's a game that is going to be invalidated by its sequel because they just have to do all the same things with a new plot, keep the stakes high, and improve the gameplay.
Yeah. Just a little more in depth, for sure.
Exactly. It just didn't feel good. Clearly systems were there, but like I don't think it was well fleshed out. It was really good the game was as short as it was because like the combat was getting pretty stale by the end.
100%, yeah. Plus I just like short games. Speaking of short linear games, have I told you how much I love Rise Son of Rome?
No,
Not
never.
recently, but in general, yes.
Well, so I love Rise Son of Rome, and you know what was interesting? I think it
Are
was
they sponsoring this
Crytek
episode?
they're not.
Ooh,
But
don't talk about it then.
I think Crytek was probing on Twitter as like, would anyone be interested in a sequel or some shit? Which is not gonna happen. But like,
No.
oh, I'd be so happy. I'd be so
Definitely
happy
has a cult
if I got a
following, but
sequel to that
you are
game.
one of an incredibly small group of people that care about that game.
I feel like it was also it probably cost us like a fair bit of money to make, despite how short it was, is I think probably the bigger problem. Right? Because like I feel like you can release a Roman gladiator based press X until the thing pops up above the enemy's head and then press Y to parry it, style game and have a decent reception and, like decent number enough players to come play it. The problem is obviously like how much is that game going to cost to make, right? And I
It's
suspect
all that while
the
being
first one was
graphically
very
beautiful, right?
expensive. Exactly, right? Like, and that's why I feel like the first one was probably very expensive to make.
Yeah, it's a tech showcase.
And it was, I mean, literally like probably up until the Series X, it was still like in my top 5 best looking games on the last gen of consoles, and it was a launch title, right? Like, which now with current gen, I mean, it's nothing special. We were talking about Tekken 8, like that looks incredible. As well as there was another one I saw. Shit, I don't know. I saw another example recently of like someone talking about one of the first, not the first, obviously, but one of the first, like current gen only games to like truly be built natively, quote unquote, on like Unreal Engine 5.1 using Nanite and stuff. And like you looked at some of the screenshots and it was just like, oh, mama, that's one pretty looking game. And so it's nice to see that, like, because it felt like obviously, like, you have the like Moore's Law esque thing with graphics where like it was getting better and better and better and better. And then it feels like obviously like probably 8 years ago, like the the rate of prettier, more or less flatlined, right? Like not entirely flatlined, but like pretty close to it. I feel like about 8 years ago or so. And so it's kind of nice to see that we're getting a small, little increase again. But
I
maybe
think
I'm
it's
wrong. I don't know. What do you?
more. It was about like getting more pixels and like more detailed and stuff like that. And we really
So
like as
that's
far as
my
the
biggest thing. Yeah.
as far as the human eye goes, like we kind of capped out, right? That was that plateau. And then people were like, well, what else can we improve? It's like, well, let's improve like all the effects and everything around like the environment and stuff like that to add realism and a different, not just like make it look clearer.
That's
But like,
why sorry, not to interrupt you. I'm so
no, please.
sorry. I was just going to say like my like top tiers for like visuals, I'm finishing up or playing through from when I originally started it when it launched, Horizon Forbidden West right now, which is just amazingly gorgeous. Like it is such a Guerrilla has, in my opinion, always done a great job. The developers ever since Killzone 2, where they put out their E3 trailer and everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to be an E3 trailer when the game launches. It's going to look like shit." And then Killzone 2 looked just like the fucking E3 trailer, and it was amazing. But like Horizon Forbidden West is absolutely stunning. And it's like decently detailed, but it's the game's focus is not on like dense world or anything because it takes place in a world where there's not a lot of like stuff left over because it's post-apocalyptic. Just a gorgeous like environmental version of a post-apocalypse. And then you look at something like obviously Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog literally leads the way in my opinion, and like everything to do with like the detail work of like expression and emotion, and then obviously environments too. But I still think Red Dead 2 is the single best overall looking game for the sake of scale. Because like Last of Us 2 has a lot of open environments, but they are relatively small open environments. It's definitely not an open world game. Horizon is gorgeous all the way through, and I think does a better job of like color work with like its saturation. My bad. And yeah, it's like super well detailed and like texture work is amazing. But I think Red Dead 2 for being as big of it as it is, with like the lighting and clouds and character like animations, and obviously anybody that's played that game knows that it's like super well animated because they make you watch all the animations, which I love. I adore Red Dead 2's commitment to like the more like weight and realism that Rockstar's been kind of pursuing for a while now with their games since GTA 4. But yeah, I know it can be polarizing, but I think Red Dead 2 overall is the single best in terms of density of like technical improvements.
I think you're right on the money there in terms of like it is that because of scale, right? Because like, yeah, in individual aspects, like I can think of things that do it better, right? Like if you talk about like, you know, you mentioned like emotion and facial stuff, right? Like facial animation with Last of Us does a great job. It's like another one I can think of that does a great job too, which like I actually don't like the game, to be entirely honest, but a lot of people do, is Hellblade, right? Like,
yeah.
And Hellblade 2 is, I'm pretty sure, going to set the bar for, yeah, like that really close up facial animation and emotion and like realism aspects, right? But it's going to be, that's the thing, right? And then like you were talking about, Red Dead 2 is like their characters and their faces are great. And then also look at this entire fucking world, it's also great, right? And so like, yeah, you're totally right that it's just the scale there. It's
all the wildlife is animated and like behaves like wildlife pretty much should, and like there's all the different biomes and weather, and when you're walking through snow it deforms and all these things, and like Horizon has a lot of that too, but Horizon has very little wildlife compared to something like Red Dead 2, where there is so much that's just happening in every single scene you look at, and it's not a linear experience, it's a massive open world. So yeah, those three games are probably my like top in terms of what you can do with the technology. Like obviously you see stuff like Cyberpunk with all the new RTX whatever, and like it looks great, but that game's world to me is still so fucking dead. Like I'm still disappointed from Cyberpunk. I was the most excited of anybody before that game came out, and I'm still disappointed.
Yeah, it is crazy what Red Dead 2 does with ambiance. Like they just, I agree. Like all open world games, you will find parts of it where that world is just going to feel, and even linear games where parts of the world just feel hollow and like this is a video game. I'm walking around in a virtual box.
You see the edges.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, Red Dead 2, there's just always something that like makes it feel like it is, you're out in the real wild, wild west, wherever part of it that you are maybe in.
It's so good. It's literally like, as we've talked about previously on like every other episode, I'm such a sucker for detail and like immersion in games, and Red Dead 2 is so far up there for me. It's so good.
I'm still surprised.
Very hopeful for the next GTA if we ever get another one, for the same reason.
Definitely get another Red Dead, because they haven't been able to milk it.
They had the League, right?
Yeah, they did, which means like I know it's coming, but they're also still milking 5 and specifically GTA Online like as hard as they can. I mean, they abandoned Red Dead Online, which Red Dead Online was that wonderful, expansive, gorgeous world, but multiplayer. And they said, yeah, it's not really worth the effort, and went back to GTA Online, which makes me so sad.
Yeah, it just didn't catch on. I was so shocked it like did not work out. I guess it was just because it was predatory from the beginning and people didn't like that.
It definitely was. I feel like they took all the like most predatory aspects of GTA Online and had those, like you said, like from the beginning. And I think also Red Dead 2 did not have the same level of broad appeal in terms of gameplay that GTA has, just because like obviously it's super well received, but it's still so polarizing in terms of people who like cannot stand all the like, you know, long form animations and like body weight and stuff that Red Dead does compared to GTA 5, where some of that's there, but definitely not as much.
I agree. Oh, and I looked it up. If you're curious, Rockstar did officially confirm that GTA 6 is. So obviously the leak happened and then they had basically no choice to do it. But they could have been like, oh no, that's old and we canned it, right? But no, they 100% said they're working on GTA 6. So and yeah, it'll be hopefully very good. That might be the thing that gets me to try another Grand Theft Auto game, because I don't know, I've beaten up a lot of hookers in Grand Theft Auto as a child, and it kind of lost its pizzazz to me, which I find it interesting because like lots of people, I think Packy, you have said it, and like definitely Matt as well, like you all have talked about like, man, yeah, I just love the campaign of them, like going down to Tony's shop and all this stuff. And I'm like,
4 and 5 are
dude,
great
I
single
just
player
like
experiences.
I only played 5. I've never played any of the previous ones, and it is crazy hearing about what it used to be and how people used to like to fuck around in the open world, which you definitely end up doing, and I have done.
Yeah, you can still do.
But most of the enjoyment is just like doing the story missions.
And I was gonna say 4 and 5 have fantastic campaigns. Like they're both super good.
Is 4 Vice City or is Vice City its own game?
4 is New York. Where you play as Nico
I know what
Bellic.
you're talking about.
Vice City is its own game. That's old.
Yeah, it's its own game. Yeah. I was gonna say, so like I played a lot of 3 and Vice City, which are 2001, and oh my god, are they 2001 and 2002? Did they literally come out a year from each other? I can't actually tell. And yeah, I played a lot of those, and at that point it was like spawn in the tank, put the turret to face behind you, and like blast it as hard as you can to basically fly in
San Andreas was that way too, which I never played. I never played any of the ones before 4.
Interesting. So okay, maybe they just changed it. I don't know, because like I like 3 3 in Vice City. Like I said, like I played those and it was like, okay, cool. Especially by the end of Vice City, it's like, okay, so this is the exact same thing as 3. You beat up hookers and you spawn in tanks and you do this. I'm like, okay, I never need to play one of these games again. Yeah. I got everything I need out of my system. That's great. That's interesting though that like 4 and 5 are like you're saying have been very good.
I was gonna say 4 came out when modern games I think took that turn to like the gritty story and gritty realism. Like like the early, I guess the late early 2000s and early like 2010s when Call of Duty 4 came out and Call of Duty went from being like whatever World War II to being like the super grounded, modern, all brown and beige and tan and white and black. Like that, that's a trope. That's an established trope of the industry that happened, in that time period. And 4 is definitely part of that. The story is centered around a Eastern European immigrant who was, I can't remember which exact war, but he fought, like he was in one of the wars in Eastern Europe and was like traumatized, and a lot of the other characters that he interacts with are from the same thing, and they're all fucked up too. Like 4 is a very dark story with like, GTA's like goofiness kind of injected, but not really. It wasn't until Ballad of Gay Tony, the second expansion for GTA 4, where they brought back the more classic GTA like goofiness. And then with 5, they did, I'd say maybe like 60%, maybe even just 50-50 like realism / goofiness, with it being set in the equivalent of LA basically. So
I think they found the good middle ground most people shoot for now, which is like your overarching, everybody's doing this now, where like you have a loose overarching narrative that is serious and takes itself seriously and has serious poignant moments, and then you kind of break it up with pace breaking like fun, silly like side stories or stuff like that.
I think 5 especially did, like, between the 3 characters, did a really good job of that. Because 4 is, it's been a long time since I played through it, but it's from what I remember, it's a very dark game.
It's crazy they pull off, at least I liked all 3 of GTA 5's main characters, which I did not expect to.
For sure, they're all great. Franklin, Michael, and Trevor are all fantastic. For sure.
Well, now, you guys have gotten me actually excited for 6. Like, between my experience with 3 and Vice City.
Go play 5.
Yeah, fucking play 5. They sell it all the time on sale.
No, the real problem also is I see, so it's a combination of I have my past experiences and then I see all the stuff from GTA Online, which is obviously basically, it's just a fork of 5, right? Is it like, it is, I don't know actually, is it 5, but a standalone game basically?
No.
Which one are you talking about?
No.
GTA Online is it's the same map, but I mean, it's multiplayer and it's still the open world. You can still do whatever.
But it is the same map, right?
It's the same map of 5.
Engine, all that shit.
And it has its own story beats because technically it takes place kind of before.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know it had its own story too.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it's kind of loose, but I mean, like they've added a ton of story stuff to it. And it takes place originally as a prequel to 5, and then I think with all the story stuff, it's like kind of runs concurrently with some of 5's actual story. if you have people to play with, like, it's not bad. It's not great, like, as a solo player, but if you have people to play with and do, like, some of the missions and, like, see more of the content for sure. And GTA Online is definitely more of the goofy side of GTA.
I was gonna say, because like that is, I see in my mind, I had always thought it was like 5 came out, and then this was basically just like the online version of 5, right? Like just the fork of 5, which it sounds like it kind of is, but also like with a little bit of its own extra stuff. And so that's the stuff you always see online these days, right? Like whenever you see a clip of Grand Theft Auto these days, it's always
it hasn't had a story expansion. They scrapped it to focus on online more because it made more money.
And so, I see that online, and I'm like, that reminds me of the days of 3 and Vice City, where I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to do that. But so, okay, maybe we'll get 5.
No, you should.
But no, at this point, it's just wait for 6.
That's such a crazy approach. GTA 6 is not coming for such a long time.
That's like saying you're not going to play Skyrim, but you're just going to wait for Elder Scrolls, like the next one. Like you're not getting that game in the next like 10 years. Like it's not coming. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Just not on any reasonable timetable.
I think GTA 6 is going to come out before Elder Scrolls 6. Like
that's
positive about
crazy. That. What?
I think that's a safe
bet. Nah, it's a really safe bet, dude. Like actual gameplay footage of 6 has leaked. You all know what they've shown of the Elder Scrolls 6?
No, GTA 6 is definitely coming before Elder Scrolls 6. Todd Howard wants 6 to be he wants it to be the game he's always wanted, and he's got to get the technology in there first.
They're going to rewrite that
Starfield's
game so
not
many
even out yet, Packy. We got to get through Starfield and potentially another Fallout, and then we get Elder Scrolls 6.
I think it's more. It's just the fact that like. Yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't have like this big online to fall back on like GTA. They really should just release a fucking game. True.
You don't know what 6 is gonna have. 6 could be like Second Life, but Elder Scrolls. I have no idea.
Todd Howard's in that. If they didn't go full blown like ESO with 6, but they just had like a optional 4-player co-op with 6, like. That'd be fucking cool. I don't know, man.
Hey, wait, hold on. The Skyrim Together mod is apparently really, really well made. Me and Jacob keep talking about trying it.
So
that, but 6 and native.
I didn't even realize.
Anything that's a mod is basically native for Skyrim at this point. Let's be honest.
Just fully put it together. It's just Elder Scrolls 6. It doesn't even have a name yet.
No, they haven't announced what it is yet.
Just
a lot of people think it's going to be either Daggerfall or I guess not Daggerfall, High Rock, but. No, it does not have a province assigned or a region assigned to it yet, which is usually what they name the game after.
So bad for Elder Scrolls fans.
I'm doing great.
Yeah, like it just sucks. I wish you could just
Starfield.
Get a crumb.
A new Bethesda IP in God knows how long. I'm so here for Starfield.
I think it'll be good.
Plus, I play Fallout 4. Redfall launches really soon.
I play Fallout 4 all the time still. I play Skyrim pretty regularly still. I'm doing fine back.
Yeah, September 6th. It's not that long.
I still play Oblivion once a year.
I need to finally actually go complete.
Oh, Oblivion's so 4. Good. Oh, okay, they were going to say. Never mind.
No shot at Oblivion.
Fallout 4's great.
Dead
I
ass.
love Fallout 4.
But yeah, James, are you going to play Redfall in 6 days?
Because it's on Game Pass, yes.
That's a good way to look at it.
I love Arcane. Yeah. Huge fan of the 3 Dishonored games and huge fan of Prey. I bounced off of Deathloop so fucking hard. So I'm a little worried about Redfall. So if it was not on Game Pass, I probably wouldn't buy it until it was on sale. But with it being on Game Pass, I'll probably play it soon after launch day.
I look at this and I feel like this is a game that I would have to play with people.
Yeah, but it's got janky
hopefully it's
co-op stuff.
Oh yeah, with the like how you get your progression.
Yeah, you don't share progression. I remember.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's 2023.
Oh, we talked about this.
Why is co-op
like really
hard?
bad, right? I can't remember what game we were talking about. Where like it's only one person progresses, right? And you get literally nothing if you're the multiplayer.
Yeah, I think you. I might even. I was gonna say I think you get XP, but I might even be wrong about that. I don't. It's not great from what I've seen, but it's Arcane, so I'm willing to give them credit because four of their other games are super special to me. So
and something like that's not set in stone, right? That's something you can change.
Yeah, I mean they already said they were trying to like even though the game is this close to release, like I think it was like 2 weeks ago, or maybe like a little bit longer than that, they came out and were like, yeah, we're in the process of trying to like reverse some of our decisions to make it better for the, the audience. So I trust Arcane. Like I said, I bounced off Deathloop hard, but like the art direction and stuff was super cool. So I don't know.
I looked it up. Its story progression is tied to the host player. So yeah, you literally do not progress in any of your story progression or quests or whatever playing with other people, which is big lame. That's definitely a big lame. It's kind of like I don't know how many people are willing to. I mean, plenty of people are willing to play the exact same thing twice back to back, right? But like that's essentially what they're asking you to do is like, hey, if you want to play through this story, but you also want to play through with your friends, like you either have to like accept that you're not going to do this, you're not going to get credit for it, right? Ever. And you're only ever going to play with your friend essentially, or you're just going to have to do it twice, once with your friend and once by yourself, right? Like, which is kind of a big lame. Anyways, on that note, we will wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 33 of our super cool casual gaming podcast, Jetpack Swords, hosted by myself, Greg, and my friends, Packy and James. Have a good one, everybody.